Could someone kill while still sleeping? In 1987, a man in Canada claimed just that. This is the chilling, bizarre, and true story of the sleepwalking killer. In Ontario, Canada, on May 24, 1987, a young man named Kenneth Parks set off on a drive that would become legendary. What happened that night would stretch the boundaries of sanity, sleep, and the law. Kenneth was a 23-year-old electronics worker. He lived with his wife and infant daughter in Pickering, Ontario. Life seemed fine until hidden debts and pressures began to mount. He was deeply stressed, with gambling losses piling up a secret burden he couldn't share. None of that, however, explains what he did next. In the early hours, Kenneth reportedly dozed off on his living room couch. Then, while the world slept, his body sprang to life. He walked, dressed, and drove about 20 kilometers to his in-laws' home in Scarborough. Armed with a tire iron, he entered their home with a key they had given him. He bludgeoned his 42-year-old mother-in-law, Barbara Woods, hard, repeatedly. Then he turned to his father-in-law, Dennis Woods, and tried to strangle him. Bleeding from self-inflicted cuts, Parks climbed back into his car and drove not home but to a police station. At about 2:15 a.m., Kenneth walked into a police station exhausted, blood on his clothes, and said, "I think I have just killed 2 people." The police were stunned. How could this man murder his loved ones and then walk into a station, fully fluent, as though nothing was wrong? His defense team advanced an extraordinary argument: automatism by sleepwalking, also known as somnambulism. They claimed he acted unconsciously, without awareness or intent essentially. He was asleep during the entire attack. 5 neurological experts testified, supporting that Parks had a severe sleep disorder, not a mental illness. They argued his actions were involuntary, no memory, no motive, no control. The question facing the court was immense. Is sleepwalking a non-insane automatism which can lead to a full acquittal? Or is it a disease of the mind requiring psychiatric confinement? At trial, the jury accepted that Kenneth was not criminally liable. He was acquitted. But the story didn't end there. The Crown appealed. In 1992, the Supreme Court of Canada reviewed the case. They accepted that in Parks' specific situation, sleepwalking could indeed be considered a non-insane automatism because there was no underlying mental disorder. They upheld his acquittal, a landmark decision that reshaped criminal law in Canada and beyond. This ruling fundamentally changed how courts treat unconscious behavior, especially when the mind is off but the body keeps moving. So what exactly happens in the brain during a sleepwalking episode? It's a state of dissociation. Some parts of the brain are deeply asleep, while others are awake and active. The motor cortex, which controls movement, can function, while the parts responsible for conscious awareness, memory, and judgment are shut down. Common triggers include severe stress, sleep deprivation, and a genetic predisposition. Expert testimony in the Parks case stressed that he had a history of deep sleep, a strong family history of parasomnia, and no signs of psychiatric illness that could explain his actions. Yet, critics immediately warned that this defense could be used as a loophole, a convenient way for criminals to escape culpability by simply claiming they were asleep. Was Parks truly innocent, or was this a perfect crime masked as a medical anomaly? Some skeptics argued, couldn't he have planned it? Were the expert neurologists biased? And what about his hidden stress and gambling debts? Didn't they constitute a motive? Yet in court, no direct motive was ever successfully proven, and the defense's scientific case held strong. For many people, this verdict was chilling. If a man can brutally kill his in-laws while asleep, what does that say about free will, guilt, and personal responsibility? After his acquittal, Kenneth Parks moved on. He reportedly received treatment for his sleep disorder and avoided any further violent incidents. In 2006, he even launched a bid to become a school trustee in Durham, a move that drew significant media backlash given his past. Still, the 1987 case remains a cautionary tale, taught in law schools worldwide as the defining case on the automatism defense. It continues to pose enduring questions. Can someone truly act without control? And if so, are they legally or morally culpable for their actions? So, what do we take from this strange, disturbing story? It shows that the boundary between our conscious and unconscious selves is incredibly fragile. The law demands intent, a guilty mind, to prove a crime. But in cases of true sleepwalking, that intent may simply vanish. Science and law collided in this courtroom, and the court sided with the science. If you were in that jury's seat, believing the expert testimony you heard, would you have acquitted or convicted? If a person kills while fully asleep, are they evil, or are they a victim of a profoundly malfunctioning brain? This is not just a ghost story. It's a real terrifying reminder that the human mind can betray us when we least expect it. Thank you for watching. And if you dare, think deeply about what it truly means to be in control. If you found this case as fascinating as I did, please consider subscribing for more deep dives into the unknown.